What is up YouTube, it's Kingfisher745, and in this video, we're going to talk about the Dark Edge. The Dark Edge and Satana. This is seemingly all I've been hearing about lately. Satana plus the Dark Edge. The Dark Edge and Satana. As if it's the greatest combo that's ever been in this game. So I set out a few nights ago, well I believe on Monday night, and I kept at it for probably 2 hours. Trying this combination out in various ways. Different agent uniforms and setups. This video is going to be a summary of my results. And by the way, this battle isn't the best by any means. This was against a ridiculous agent, but there are many of these Phyla and Cloak and Dagger teams at 40k plus health. In fact, it's the only team I face. So if this combination can't beat them easily, there's really no point in the meta. At least that was my thought. Now the first thing about the Dark Edge is overall, yes, it's a pretty sweet weapon. I think we all saw it, and the fact that it revolved around certain debuffs being on your agent led us to either Satana or the Son of the Demon set. I personally never won many pieces of that set. I think I only had the Chalice of Souls. That causes dizzy on the agent. So we went with Satana. That combination works out incredibly well. But what have I noticed in a few hours of PvP with it? If you want to ever get those debuffs rolling, you're going to want to take off your warding essence. No Lantern of Doom, no Mystic. I'm sure you can realize how that can cause quite a few problems in the meta. Come up against Daemon, he uses his Succubus, and you're in serious trouble already. Or most enemy agents have the Lantern of Doom, so there goes a Smothering Shadow first turn. One of the worst things that can happen to your team. The next negative you may notice is you don't want to use any rising up buffs. So for example, on Nico's turn, you can't use Kick-Ass because you'll actually overwrite your own debuffs. You most definitely can't use the Generalist Flight Suit and rely on Finest Hour. You'll be completely working against yourself there. Another thing I notice is the Dark Edge and Satana, for me, miss a ton. So we had to put the Singularity Matrix on our setup. I just couldn't land hits half the time. But that may be just my problem. It's really frustrating getting yourself completely set up and then missing the attack entirely. I don't care what kind of damage something can do if you can't land the actual hit. So I found that a must. Then against many of these teams, our damage was severely hampered. So there you see a Dark Edge hit on Phyla. Not very impressive. What I do want to tell you is, yes, I've seen this thing hit for, I think, a 54k knockout. And you'll get another turn after. So potentially in the right circumstance, you could wipe an entire team. But for me, that ended up being against teams that had very, very low armories or weak setups. They either had an odd team you never see, or one was against a 21k Cloak and Dagger and Phyla team. That's really not the right setup for them. I'm guessing the armory and bonuses were very low. But yeah, I'm telling you, I spent hours on this setup, and I could not get impressive finishes against this team, which is all I face. So my opinion on it in PvP right now is not very great. I'd rather just use Ronin and wipe the entire enemy team easily. Why waste my time on taking off the Lantern of Doom, putting Satana in, who Spitfire could destroy, debuffing my own agent, staying away from rising up buffs. Seems like a lot for a weapon that I couldn't handle the main team that I face 99.9% of the time. Please tell me if you have different results. I would love to hear what you're doing differently. And why you're taking out 40k Phyla and Cloak and Dagger teams. If you are, I'd be super excited. I mean, even if you're having a great time with it in your bracket, I'm happy to hear that. And I wish you continued success. For me, I felt like I spent enough time on it. And I wasn't a fan, at least not in the meta that I'm stuck in. Now that goes for PvP. PvE is an entirely different thing. You have to see this in action there. And maybe that's what many of you are talking about. Just the incredible usefulness of the Dark Edge in PvE. As for this match, we are going to finish. We didn't have too many problems actually winning. I noticed in this setup, Nico became an absolute powerhouse. She was knocking out people left and right. But one last thing I do have to say is, it also hurts to have to try to stay away from heals, because they usually remove debuffs as well. So yeah, I have a lot of knocks against this in PvP. Like I said though, I'd love to hear your results. Maybe you're more inclined to debuff your own team. I've never really been a fan of that. I'm also very stubborn. So if I start out not liking a character or item, weapon, gadget, you name it, and that can be for whatever reason. I have many different reasons for not liking something. It could just be a feeling that's there for seemingly no reason. It takes a lot to change my mind on it. There has to be some overwhelming evidence that I was totally wrong and it's awesome. That may be the case here, but I certainly couldn't see this weapon being good enough to use on defense in PvP, for example. As for PvE though, I could see Satana and it being our new clear team. It just makes it really easy to take out enemy waves, especially paired with the Sextant. So yes, you'll see it and the Golden Sextant in action as soon as we finish these guys off. For now, I'm hoping that we can get a knockout on Cloak and Dagger with the Dark Edge, and so let's see how it goes. We at least should be able to land the hit, and it's almost 9k. So because we get that knockout, we will get an extra turn. We'll then recharge, and, well, unfortunately, we can't even see all our debuffs. But we're pretty set up. Let's look at the Dark Edge really fast. Now, as you can see, there's Desperation Attack, Exploits Bleeds, a few really sick buffs from our Singularity Matrix, and, well, we definitely have Dizzy since we can see that. But once again, our attack wasn't very impressive. And yeah, it is kind of crazy that there's a huge difference against this type of team, and like I said, a lower armory team, where we did something like 54,000. But consistently, like I said, over a few hours, I found it overwhelmingly difficult to do a lot of damage against these 40k HP teams. Besides getting frustrated about it, I thought, well, what's the point then? I don't need anything special to beat these really weak teams. I need that firepower against this type of team. And yeah, I just couldn't pull it out, so at least Nico was very impressive. And yes, we did win the matches, so I really can't complain too much. But like I said, PvE is where it's at. So we're going to go into an actual boss fight from Chapter 11, and we'll try it out there. Now we're forced to team up with Deadpool, but like I was talking about, the Golden Sextant and the Dark Edge are actually really sick together. And you'll find that out once we get a few debuffs. We're not quite packing the punch we would like to right away. So we'll get a few debuffs and we'll be really rolling. Now Satana can't preemptively whisper sweet nothings, which I believe causes distracted on the enemy, and so it's a pretty decent preemptive debuff. That works out pretty well, and then on his next attack, well, he does get countered, and he'll take absorb energy, then after the fact, Deadpool's going to counter, and that finishes him off. So it may be on the next wave when we'll really see this combo, but for now, we'll take out the bottom rampart, and then with Satana, we have the coordinated AISO, so we'll use her summon. Then you'll want to look at your agent and see what debuffs he has and what he is missing. Say he's missing Slowed, then you want to use Satana's ability that causes Slowed to your team. That will be her level 1, Fiery Fists. And that is actually what we end up using. So it does very nice damage and the follow-up attack takes down the Grunt. So on to the next wave. We're pretty well set up now, so check this out. We'll use the Dark Energy Blade first on the Hitman. It knocks him out so we get an extra turn. We'll go after Count Nefaria. We don't finish him with the Dark Edge, but the Golden Sextant gives us a follow-up attack. That still procs an extra turn. So we're going to do the same thing to Madame Mask. A full wave clear, including 2 bosses, all because of the Dark Edge. That's going to be pretty tough to beat in PvE. So yeah, the Dark Edge took a few hits from me today, and maybe you totally disagree with that even in PvP. That's completely fine. Like I said, let me know what you think, what you've seen. And please, if you're beating those 40k FaZe and C&D teams, mainly with the Dark Edge, I would love to hear how. What I do love though, without question, is using this and Satana in PvE. Absolutely sick. Super easy to build up, and then a complete wave finisher. Especially with that follow-up from the Mighty Sextant. So I definitely recommend it here, and you can definitely use it in PvP as well. I'm just not blown away right now. not in the current meta. That's going to be it though for today's video, so I want to thank you all for watching. Ask you to please like, comment, and subscribe. Then until next time, good luck and take care.